Hello everybody, my name's Reed and welcome back to another episode of my Skyline R33 build. In today's episode, my dad and I will be taking apart the cylinder head. Everything needs to come out, including the valves, springs, studs, and a few other bits and pieces. The head will then be sent away for inspection, pressure tests, and then to be faced. In this episode, we'll be showing you how to remove broken studs and an easy way to take the springs out of the head. I'd like to thank everybody for the support on my videos and to please like and share. I hope you guys enjoy the video.
So just so you understand, these are collets. Go under the end of your valve. There's a top and bottom. See how they're tapered? So that the thin tapers down to the thicker end is to the top, and the spring cap has got the same shape. So it's like comes up on a taper. That's of course in your head. That's just showing you how it works. Yeah. So, and when they've been in there for a long time, that sort of like freezes up. So usually with a head that was easy to get the springs off, you just give that a tap to break the seal, just because it's been sealed for a long time. But we're going to do it a different way, and this way we'll usually get the collets out very easily. See, there's one out already. Grasshopper. Don't want to lose these, so we'll find a container to put them in. Clop. There we go, grasshopper. That's the easy way. You don't put it together like that because you can't do it, but that's the easy way to get it apart. I'm going to get the magneto. Have shelf 7E. There we go. So we'll give the other one a whack while that. Usually,
will one come out then the other, or
usually
sometimes they both come out?
Sometimes two.
Okay.
See, it's so quick and easy. If you had the right tool, it'd be much harder. But of course, as I say, you need the right tool to put it back together. And then down here, where it's been machined, there's I'll get something to show you. There's a steel shim there, which is a seat. So the spring sits on that steel shim. If it didn't have the steel shim, the steel spring would chew into the aluminium. So that's why there's a steel shim. So we've got to get them out later. You can't leave them there, because in the course of sending it away to get the head checked, they can fall out and you lose them, and then you're buggered. That's it there. That's the easiest way to get them out, is with the magnet from shelf 7E. So we'll pop these other two. Sawana. Don't be shy. So now we can pop our valve out. There's your seat on the valve there. Doesn't matter that we're going to mix these up, because we're going to clean them and machine them all. And here are your exhaust.
So the exhaust ones are smaller.
They're smaller. Yeah, that's the norm in cylinder heads. It's usually if you hear the term burnt out valves, usually it's an exhaust valve that will burn out, and that's because you've got far greater temperature. Of course, they open to let the burnt gases out, so they're subject to extreme temperatures where the inlets aren't so much, so they hardly ever burn out. These can, and you'll find where one is burnt out, firstly it will start leaking on the seat. You have a little dark patch where gas is leaking, it's not sealing properly, either there and here. And then what can happen is it'll actually burn a little chunk out of there. When it gets significant, then it's like a low compression, so you lose power and it won't run smoothly. They don't look bad considering the mileage that this has done. But as I say, we can mix them up, that's alright, because we're going to machine them all.
So when we machine it, is that this set here that you...
Yep, I'm going to clean them, clean it, take the plugs out, and then we'll machine that seat so it's a new seat. And that's of course after we check the head and after we check the valve guides, make sure the valve guides are okay. The condition of this motor, I expect that they will be, but we check them anyway. And then really you'll be bringing it back to a new head again. So you've got two out that time. Just lodge one.
So just
Yep.
like that?
Yep.
Harder?
Well, take it off and see if one is dislodged. If it hasn't yet, give it another one a bit harder. There you go. Joe? That's exhausting. And bearing in mind this face here, this surface here is a machined face, so always take care of it. Don't mark it, bang it or drop it. Seeing as we don't have a smaller one available,
Over here.
So,
What's that?
part number 5126.
What's that one then?
well,
Because that has a little electronic sensor that plugs
Yeah.
into the end of the day. So
yeah, you know, I don't know. I have to say, I'd like to say, but I don't know.
But we'll find out.
So you want to set a punch. Try and get it in the centre. It's good enough. Oh, that wasn't even in the centre. Boy, I need to get some more glasses. Blind man will be pleased to see that one. This one's loose. Did you see it move? See, I was on a bit of an angle first off, just squaring myself up. Let's square that up so it's not rocking. you break the drill bit off from there, you start getting yourself into all sorts of shite. So, you know, it's just, you've got to just take care of it. You heard it go right through the end of the stud then. You don't have to go that far, and depends on how long the stud is. This one's loose too because I saw it move. Like that. And ideally you could have some cutting oil or a bit of CRC spray on there. Lubricate it, keep the drill from getting too hot, but you know, you get too much on, you can't see what you're doing either, so it's really a matter of just going quietly with it. I'll leave it at that. And if you're not sharp, you run the risk of buggering it up. Push too hard, break the drill. I should have sharpened it first. Just cutting through it like this one's loose too. See it screwing? So if we had a left-hand drill, they may well have come out. I just can't get that easy out. See how it's tapered? It's actually had a little bit broken off the end, but give it a bit of a donk. And doesn't hurt to put a little bit of lube on there. Anything that can help it. It's got to go gently. Yeah, see, that's I'm going to have to go for the bigger easy out because this one's just a bit small, didn't grip enough, and it's a bit tight in the end. Going to have to drive the guts out of it. And of course what this is doing too is when it's going in, it's spreading the top of it, which can make it tighter. But once it establishes a flat on there, you know, if you've got to work it backwards and forwards, try and let a bit of that lube get around it. Just gently does it. If it's real tight, you just got to be easy with it. There we have it. Get it off. Tighten that easy up with the vise. Get a shifter on the end of it. You can feel it, like you grab that, feel how easy that one is. So
just like normal.
yeah, but if they get tight, like this one's just starting to get now, it's time to just go easy, blow all the shit out. We should have compressed air to be blowing it out, but we're just lazy. If you get a bit sloppy with it, it can bring you undone. And we're getting a little bit sloppy with it. You really need to try and do the best in the first place. Drill it properly, blow it out, get a bit of lube in there. We should have had compressed air, but anyway. Another way you can do it, you got to be good with the drill. So when you drill it, you can just keep working up in drill size, and you've got to be square on, so that going up in drill size you can actually drill the stud right out. But it's when you get out to the last bit, if you're not square, you can start oblongating the aluminium hole. So another way to do it is, when that was, before that started screwing in, it was only recessed a little bit, yeah. So in that case, another way to get them out is we'll get a nut and we put over the hole, centralise it with the stud, yeah. Get your MIG welder, come down and start welding from the centre of the stud, and you can actually join the broken stud onto the nut, let it cool down, then get a socket on there and you can unscrew it. That's another way that can be very successful. If you bugger the hole up and oblongate it, and another way to repair it is by taking it out to the next size, putting a special helicoil in it which can bring it back to standard size. Surprising that these break because they're a heavy stud. But I guess they just get fatigued with the heat. Hear it creaking. It's a little bit tight. They can be worse than that. If you have good quality pair of these, the original vice grips, good jaws, good locking mechanism, they will hang on to things pretty good. The cheap ones just can slip. Now you can do it with 2 nuts, but you'd still be looking for 2 nuts right now, and I've got one out and I'm onto the second one. We're not going to use these again because we just put a whole set in, because if the others are broken, they're subject to doing the same thing sooner or later.
Is this sort of like when you pull them out, you pretty much have to replace them, or like is it sort of like if they were new, we put them in, then for whatever reason they came out again, could you reuse them?
Oh, if they were new, but because these are, I don't think this head's ever been off the car, and so you know, it's like pulling the sump off a motor, perhaps, that's had a gasket, and if say the gasket didn't tear, you'll wash it all up and put the old gasket on. Well, no, usually, you know, gasket material deteriorates. Although in saying that, a lot of sumps today are just sealed by a good sealer. But look, things like these, it's a consumable. It's something that starts to wear with heat and age. Yeah. And so you'd be foolish to not replace them, because you know, if it starts blowing smoke in 2 or 3 months' time, then you can say, well, why didn't I replace the stem seals?
So they're just sort of stuck on there, eh? It's like they're not screwed in or anything?
No,
or?
it's just pressed on. So it's got a little steel rim with a rubber vulcanized onto it, with a little spring on the end of the seal to keep tension on it. And so they just, yeah. So the inside of it is rubber. So when you put the new ones on, smear it with clean oil, and you can use a proper little drift that'll go over the outside of that and just get onto the shoulder of it and press it in. They're going easy. They're going easier than they come out.
Alright guys, that concludes episode 4 of my Skyline R33 build. Please feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments section. After all this was done, we washed the head and it was ready to be sent away. It took us about 3 hours to completely strip the head, but there was also a lot of explaining along the way. I would like to remind everybody that I am no mechanic at all. I'm just a car enthusiast wanting to learn more about my car. I hope everybody enjoyed the video, and please don't forget to like and share. I'll see you guys on the next one.